So this infographic actually shows the difference between a variety of sales cycles. And I think it's a good exercise to kind of think through the variables that are involved whenever you're engaged in some sort of sale, right? And so, today and just broadly speaking, my focus is B2B selling, the startup sales experience. But I'd like to kind of start off by explaining, kind of what I think is the baseline sort of quickest and most basic sale, and that's the, let's say like the retail sale, right? And so as you can see here, this sale can happen in, let's say, a matter of minutes or seconds to minutes. You see it's a consumer marketing driven sale. So we're talking, things like consumer products, fast food, buying a T-shirt, that kind of stuff. So it's not your quite your traditional sale where there's a salesperson. Again, it's marketing driven. There's a brand, there's distribution channels, and all these other things involved. But I wanted to kind of illustrate a concept, and the concept is, think about this. Think about if you're walking into a store or a grocery, and you walk up to the, let's say, beverage shelf or refrigerator, and you kind of make that decision pretty quickly. If the brand's done a good enough job, you're going to be able to identify that. There's trust there, and you're going to buy that product. And if you think about it, the decision makers that are involved in that process is relatively yourself or very low, right? So there aren't too many of those decision makers. You're not going to really call your wife or your husband and say, hey, I'm trying to decide whether I want to buy Pepsi or Coke. It's kind of a silly conversation, right? The risks are pretty low, the price point's pretty low, so that could be a quick purchase, right? But if you look at the next sale here, or sales cycle, okay, you might be able to identify a couple different things. And so I'm an old door-to-door salesperson. I used to sell books and software in college, and that's where I kind of attribute my my sales skills, or whatever I've learned, attributed to that experience. And as you can see here, this sale could be really minutes to hours, right? So, if you were selling the books that I was selling door to door, you'd want to get out of there in let's say 20-30 minutes tops, right? So a little longer sales cycle here, and you can really sell this in a one meeting close, right? And so the idea is that the market is large enough here. There's thousands, millions, potentially, doors to knock on, and you're not going to really do your pitch or present to your prospect more than once, typically, right? And when you think about the decision makers that are here, it's typically, the household, one, maybe mom or dad, or maybe mom and dad, or maybe mom, dad, and grandma or grandpa. So it's really important to understand how many stakeholders have to be involved for that product to be sold, right? And so although we don't do as much much door-to-door selling these days, and there still is a pretty healthy direct selling model out there that works for certain industries. So now we look at a kind of a different sales engagement here, and as you can see, our time to close, our sales cycle is increasing. You may have hours to weeks or to days to weeks here, and you may be able to close this sale. Let's say if you're selling insurance or cars or financial services, real estate, it could really be a one meeting close, or it could be many meetings closed. So it really depends. And of course, the variable here again is time and then cost, right? So as you've seen, we've kind of gone through this or gone down this graphic. You've seen that the price also, well, it's not illustrated here, but the price also tends to increase as well, Okay, so the price is high enough where you actually need a human being, a salesperson to sell it. It's not a self-serve for the most part sale, right? Now the caveat is that people are nowadays, with the onset of the internet, there are individuals who purchase products like cars and financial services online, but I think it's still pretty much dominated by requiring financial salespeople or advisors or consultants or whatever they're calling them these days. So again, the concept here is that this could be a one meeting or multiple meeting close. You have a couple decision makers here. The price is higher, thus the sales cycle could be much longer. Okay. Now, if we look at the B2B or traditional B2B sale, this is the this is kind of what I've been focused on over the past several years of my career, and that's a sales cycle that could really last anywhere from weeks to months to years. This could be very rarely will it be a one meeting close, but it's possible. There's multiple meetings, multiple decision makers, multiple stakeholders, complex, very layered sale. A lot of the time you see the SaaS software, hardware, ads, marketing services, these sort of spaces really engaging in this B2B sale. These sales could be, or price points could be, from a couple $1,000s to a couple $1,000,000. So it's certainly not a self-serve product. So just to kind of wrap up this concept, a couple of the variables to think about. Price. Does my offering require a salesperson? Is the price high enough where it's not self-serve? How is that going to also affect the potential sales cycle? How many stakeholders have to be involved, or decision makers, or people, individuals, etc., that need to touch the deal or the sale for it to close? What are those variables? How long are these deals taking to close? Because there is absolutely a correlation between the time that it takes to close, of course, as I mentioned, the price, the layers, and the stakeholders that need to be involved to close that deal. So going back to the B2B sale, again, multiple stakeholders, multiple people. You're buying at work. This is not a $2 soda. This is not a $1,000 vehicle or insurance service. The stakes are high. You're making a decision at work. So hope that was helpful, folks.